Once upon a time, there was a little girl named Heather. She loved books before she could even read them herself. In fact, as her mama always liked to tell people, the little girl's first word was book. The second was daddy, and then only then did she get around to mama. Oops. The little girl didn't have brothers or sisters or even cousins, and even though she had plenty of friends to play with, she was always happiest when she had a book to read. She read book after book and earned pizza after pizza at Pizza Hut when they gave away free pizzas to little kids who read books. And she was always finding new things to read, from Stuart Little and Charlotte's Web to the Babysitter's Club and A Wrinkle in Time. She loved reading and rereading her favorites over and over again. As she grew older and went to elementary school and middle school, she read all kinds of books. She liked mysteries, which taught her how to think and solve problems. She loved historical fiction, which taught her about the past. And she even read some romance novels, even though she thought they were a little cheesy, because she liked the way that they put women's characters at the center of the story, unlike most of the books she read, which were usually about boys. This was really important for her as a budding young feminist. When her family moved to a new city on her 13th birthday, she took refuge in books more than ever. The kids at her new school generally didn't like to read, but instead of that steering her away from books, it made her even more determined to branch out and read new things. She read books that some people said were too hard or too advanced for kids her age, like nearly every Shakespeare play, and The Count of Monte Cristo, and The Three Musketeers. Her parents always supported her love of reading and saw how much it meant to her, and they saved and they sacrificed to send her to a better school where more of her peers liked books too. She read The Once and Future King and Agatha Christie and had tons of friends who wanted to read those books and talk about them too, and her heart and her love of reading grew. She kept reading all the way through adulthood. She eventually even got a PhD in English. The weird thing was, this actually made it harder to love reading and not easier. Reading became her job, and the hours of reading that she did every day lost a bit of their sparkle. When she was done with her work reading, it grew harder to pick up a book for fun. Luckily, she met handsome Prince, who loved to read too, and he read all kinds of books that she had never heard of or read before. His bookshelves were full of all new treasures for her to explore, and she especially found herself drawn to his collection of sci-fi stories that helped her imagine the future and dream about the world as a better place. The little girl, who's not so little anymore, still sometimes struggles to find time to read for fun. There are tons of monsters lurking around every corner, telling her it's easier to lose herself in a Netflix show or scroll through social media. But in the end, she always ends up finding a book to come back to. Sometimes it takes months, and sometimes she'll put down and pick up the same book over and over again, but she'll rediscover her love of reading in a warm sunbeam or snuggled under a blanket on a rainy day. And she's so glad and so thankful that books will always be there for her and that they don't give up on her, even on the days that she feels like she has given up on them. The end.